Okay, I'm gonna jump right in. Oh, do I want to throw in some free public domain meta? I want to make sure I don't get flagged. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, I think that is... that'll work for now. Alright, let's just jump in. So we had it previously where Sweet Tooth the Clown had not felt this much rage since that earlier breakfast. The one where Egghead the Clown wouldn't shut up about... Let's see. Let's do advanced math terms. Let's look for... How about just Fibonacci sequence? About... I'm looking just for something that would be over somebody's head. Mine included, of course. How about... Ooh, I have an idea. What the ratio of successive Fibonacci numbers coverages to the golden ratio. My idea is maybe I'll make 3 things and gold will be a common denominator. It's got to be, because he's Egghead the Clown, it's got to be like about, it's got to be intelligent stuff. The golden ratio of the Fibonacci sequence. What silence is golden really meant in the Polanski film. In the post Rosemary's Babies Polanski film. I'm trying to make it sound fancy because the idea here is Egghead the Clown was irritating Sweet Tooth with his BS high academic trivia. Okay, let me say. Yeah, we're good. Really meant... what else is gold? Does silver have more uses than gold? Different uses in jewelry. Well, gold is primarily used for jewelry and investment purposes. It has more industrial uses such as electronics, solar panels, and automobiles. And how silver is a superior just gonna word it different so I don't have to watch for accidentally miswording it. Is superior to gold because of its uses. The damn pretentious literal egg-headed clown used the word applications, though, of course, because applications, because a 4-syllable word would do over a 1-syllable word for him, of course. Uses. The uses of silver were found in solar panels and making vehicles, and gold was just pretty. After that, maybe he would have lived if there wasn't an after that. He went on to connect the correlations between these seemingly unrelated subject matters about gold. Sweet Tooth didn't like feeling stupid. You know, and it didn't take a lot to get him there, because Sweet Tooth was a part of a video game era where him and his peers didn't talk much. He couldn't even tell Egghead the Clown to shut up because, like, he was one of those video game characters. Actually, I don't know that for a fact. I better fact check myself, unless I want to completely go against actual canon. Does Sweet Tooth the Clown actually speak? I actually don't. I don't think he does, right? You know what they say about assumptions. Okay. Does he talk? Oh, maybe he does in the movie. Does he talk in the game? I'm just gonna assume he doesn't. You know, if it's an anti-canon, well, it's canon here. It's canon within Milk and Cereal. that was like having a constant mute button. Think Link. Think Sonic. Jesus H. Christ. Think of the stick figure dude from Pitfall. Think Pac-Man. Pac-Man doesn't talk, right? Of course not. He's too busy. He's got a yap filled up with pixel pellets. The fire grew. Just as now, the fire grew to a point where threatened to burn down the entire facility. If it grew large enough, would there be a bunch of like stormtroopers or workers from Squid Game to suddenly appear with fire extinguishers? Usually, Sweet Tooth got his rage out, and the literal fire would die down. The fire his skull would die down. The could be seen. He can't remember. Egghead the Clown's broken cranial. Is there some like stupid word for eggs? Like, I'm looking for something that would be like funny sounding. Just a pinch of like David Foster Wallace here for the articulation. Egg shell science term, maybe? Like, there's weird science words for like everything. An eggshell is an outer covering of the hard-shelled egg, and some forms of eggs with soft. Ooh. Oh, here we go. Nematode eggs present a two-layered structure. An external vitelline layer. Vitelline. Yeah. You can't remember Egghead the Clown's broken that is funny sounding. That's worth it. Vitelline cranium. And right now, as Clown from Dead by Daylight and Joker and Kefka get into a fray, it's making him more enraged. Sometimes he can calm himself down just thinking about previous carnage. But something is blotting out. Dude, I'm so zoned out here when she said trust your instincts. It's like, Someone talking about my writing? Oh, no. You're talking about a freaking car ad, dude. My brain kind of muddled the car ad BS into what I was doing currently. Trust your instincts. Hmm? How long is this? How long is this? Can we get like a playlist? Yeah, we can get a playlist. Let's do this one. But something is blotting out the memory. He wants to scratch. No. He remembers something that makes him want to scratch his head. But when he lifts his chubby, grease painted fingers up, the fire around his head burns his hand. This makes the anger grow. Hence, the fire groweth as well. Wow, that's try-hard sounding. Groweth as well. That would be kind of funny. I almost want to add that because it's so corny, but at the same time, it's so fucking sounds so try-hard that the goofiness might be lost for it just seeming like pure try-hard. Hence, the fire grows as well. Hence, sounds stupid too. So naturally, the fire grows as well. His instinct to scratch his head came from a perplexing memory that he knows he cannot trust. Was it literally what he saw, or was it some kind of censorship, some kind of distortion? That's really what censorship is. It's just a distortion of a truth. Oh, I actually like that. Censorship is a distortion of the truth. You could say that with the arts too, because a lot of times people are expressing their truth in the arts. And when you censor it, you're distorting the truth. Okay, let's see. I actually kind of like that. That line is slumming it with the rest of this gobbledygook. Okay. It's just that's really what censorship is. It's just a distortion of the truth. He remembers seeing something that looked akin to Matrix code in the yolk of Egghead's insides. It was like letters in alphabet soup. Did this Egghead the clown have so much insight, knowledge and useful facts in his head that it turned into literal optically perceived code? Or did he see something else? Okay. Well, if previously it was Egghead the Clown that set him off, what was it this time? Was it the grotesque nature of the clown eating Kefka's finger and fairy ring? Like Putty Cat would with a Simpsons yellow bird? Of course not. If you think for a minute that a clown like Sweet Tooth would be disgusted by such barbarism, like go back to grad school. What's that? You need to go back to grad school. Oh my god, I got like cryptomnesia from that crazy lady from Donnie Darko. I didn't even remember where I got to go back to grad school. That crazy lady obsessed with Patrick Swayze and Sparkle Motion with someone. You need to go back to grad school. It's so funny when you're writing and you kind of zone. You'll like think of stuff where like you don't even know where it comes from. And then you think about it and go, oh yeah. You need to go back to grad school. That is just such a funny line, dude. Please tell me I can find it. No, I'm not finding you need to go back to grad school. Wow, another fail from our friends at YouTube. What a fail. Dude, it doesn't come up immediately. Quentin picks his perfect movies, which, by the way, you're not going to see Donnie Darko on here. Comes up before you need to go back to grad school? What a bunch of horse crap. What a bunch of steaming pile of horse manure. You know? Steaming pile of horse manure. Okay. What were they talking about? Well, no, I'm not going to keep going down that line. He stares down inside his bowl. Sweet Tooth sees brown, clumpy, milk saturated dirt like lumps of grape nuts cereal. Can we please not forget that his name is Sweet Tooth? Besides him, his breakfast neighbor, who challenges to be almost as big as him, his shoulders continually bumping at him. People hate that, you know, and he's angry. Let's give him a lot of reason to be angry. Is enjoying Fruit Loop cereal. And the Joker had Batman cereal, didn't he? Sugary Batman IP cereal. And Kefka is dining. If one could use the word dine on breakfast cereal. Minecraft IP cereal. I mean, we are talking about a lot of refined sugar. Something that is really underrated as far as drugs go. And Sweet Tooth himself is going through a sugar withdrawal. And he stares at the brown mud-like clumps. And it seems somehow that the soggy grape nuts become more and more unappealing as he stares. He did try to eat a bite, and the stuff hung in his mouth like cement. He grew angry, which heated up his head, and then made the grape nuts in his mouth warm and then hot. If his head had not heated up so quickly, perhaps he could have swallowed. But now the paste, the grainy paste of the grape nuts were swampy warm in his mouth. He spits them out, bellows out, shocking the clown, Kefka, and the Joker, and hurls the table that had been bolted down on the floor. So I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna have the table do something here, but then without previous mention of it, it's going to look cheap and random. So we're going to go back here. We're going to go way back. I have to find a good place. A good place to add a wall-size mirror. Let's find a good place for that. Like something that would be describing the environment would be a good area. Let me see. Doesn't he look over at the clown? Let me see if he does that. I need to add something in the environment because it'll look cheap and without justification if it just shows up. Sometimes you have to do that. If you come up with the idea, you have to prop it up and justify it with stuff that you could add previously. Is this? Yeah. Needs to be before that. Maybe earlier. Oh, here we go. So, the clowns sat at the steel table that was juxtapositioned across a giant mirror across from them. Sometimes when the clowns were speaking, at least the ones where the mirror was visible, they would steal a glance. Not, well, more than one of them wondered if it was more than just them looking back. Okay. This table across from the mirror was always used by the clowns. Let me see. Okay, we'll go with that. The bolts came off as quick as a human head would come off from a silverback gorilla. I'm being primed by the zeitgeist insane debate about 100 men versus one gorilla. Or the claw end of a hammer to a Pez, a Joker Pez dispenser. I just have to add Joker just so we keep the clown motif constantly rolling. It was really an impressive flight. Far more impressive than Jeff Bezos, Katy Perry, overpriced amusement ride. Joker, Kefka, and Clown forgot about their fray and both stared absurdly at the at the steel tables flight. Oh, this is for Wesker here. Doink, the clown, a long forgotten would-be legend of WWE when the damn thing still ended with an F, was still in a sitting position, eating what was once cereal and now became air as the table flew. It took the clown like 5 seconds of sitting on air to fall down. Very Looney Tunes-esque. I mean, there is some science behind this, though, you know. Like, pro wrestlers' leg strength can be pretty impressive. Okay, who else? There should be somebody else. What are they called from Killer Clowns from Outer Space? What are those guys called? Is there a... Do I just say clowns from Killer Clowns of Outer Space? Okay. What are they called? Are they just like clowns? Do they have a designation or a label? Let's... Oh, are they just... Oh god. You just replace the C with a K? Is that what they are? Oh, Lord have mercy. That is so great. It's so bad, it's so good. So, okay. Oh, dude, this poster. Dude, all you gotta do is keep open with your senses to know where to go next. Do you see this? Imagine this is like the flinging of the table. Like we could tie the table into this movie poster quite easily, actually. Okay. One of the clowns from space, as he was eating his cotton candy cereal, which, by the way, how sweet that cereal was in particular helped trigger Sweet Tooth as he ate or rather tried to eat his grape nuts. One of the clowns from Killer Clowns of Outer Space, as he was eating his cotton candy cereal, which, by the way, how sweet that cereal was in particular helped for the grape nuts. Was then thrown by the hurling of the table. There went his cereal. There went the clowns. No, it's funny. I'm gonna stick with that dignity. As he went twirling and tumbling over the floor, twirling as fast as the table was in the air, as fast as the globe was twirling on a clown's finger on the movie poster for Killer Clowns of Outer Space. See, we could tie it in with the movie poster there. Okay. I thought that the Sweet Tooth was going to get into like some kind of fisticuffs or some kind of mano-a-mano fight with some of the other clowns or some of the people at the table. But I realized this morning while I was jogging, what was getting this guy angry? Well, everybody's eating cereal. Could you imagine being the guy, everybody is eating tasty, sugar-coated cereal, and your name is Sweet Tooth, and you have grape nuts? Now, this is not a projection from myself. This is not quasi-autobiographical as far as tastes and food go. Because I love grape nuts, and I love how it makes me feel. It doesn't like get me on the sugar train. It makes me feel like healthy. But imagine your name's Sweet Tooth. You're a big fat clown. Imagine how much energy you have to burn if you constantly had a fire coming from your head. What kind of calorie? I should like put this into this. Imagine how much. Honestly, imagine you're Sweet Tooth the clown. How much energy would you burn if you had a literal fire of flames coming off your skull? You'd probably have to eat nonstop, man. You know how much fat and sugar you need to eat? You wouldn't be looking for some grape nuts, man. You ain't gonna give a fuck about B vitamins when your skull is sitting there burning. You want some Spam. I bet you this dude loves Spam. He loves breakfast cereal, cake, ice cream. This dude is an ice cream fanatic. Poster, and we're not getting into that right now because now we're doing this guy. Which killer clown should we use here? Fat one? Or maybe we could do a skinny one. We're having some oversized characters here, aren't we? Or could we have a motif of like not just killer clowns, like killer fat clowns? Like I really need to have Gacy on here at some point, don't I? Like we're gonna need some Gacy. What? Doing the Joker dance? I played Bibbo, one of the killer clowns from outer space. Bibbo. Doing the Joker dance. Well, what's the Joker dance? I gotta see this real fast. Oh, yeah, of course. I knew that. Of course, that's what they meant by the Joker dance. The Joaquin Phoenix version. Okay. Well, I have to add that. You know, when the universe sends you something on a plate, you eat it. Bibbo hit the table hard. The table shared by Albert Wasper and old dirty Dean Corso. He thought about saving face and getting back up on his great big cherry red clown shoes and doing the Joker dance. You know, the one where Joaquin Phoenix is chain smoking Winston's and dancing on the concrete steps to some old classic rock music nobody knows. Nobody remembers what the name of it was. But instead, he just stares. Because the table, Sweet Tooth hurled, landed into the mirror. And what was behind the mirror was not a wall. And this will suffice. This will work. Because now we know there's an entry to somewhere outside of where they're having their breakfast cereal. And I don't know what it is. That's the fun. So this is important. There's different ways of writing creatively. Like one of the ways is, okay, have you ever heard of this? Have you ever heard of the gardener versus the architect? This is actually, even if you're not planning on writing yourself, this is kind of an interesting to think about when you think of your favorite stories. You have the architect versus the gardener. Yeah, I thought George R. R. Martin would come up for this. I think he might have been responsible for making this concept popular. I think it predates George R. R. Martin. But since he had such a huge spotlight on his writing career, I feel like he kind of popularized something that people knew. Okay. See, George R. R. Martin is really credited for this. I wonder, he didn't come up with that, right? The architect is the opposite of our gardener. This type of writer has a much more planned approach for writing. Rather than writing as words come to you, an architect plans ahead. They're not the same thing. So an example of a gardener would be George R. R. Martin. An even more extreme version of a gardener would be Lewis Carroll, who just immediately would start riffing on ideas, and his ideas would turn into new ideas. An architect is like if you were an architect with this, you got killer clowns eating breakfast cereal. Where are they? Like, I need to know. They're underground. Where? Mars. Now I'm going to write these index cards. You know, they're in Mars now. I don't know where they are now because I'm gardener. You're sprouting from the ground and you don't even know what shape you're going to take. An architect has a blueprint that they write into. They already know what's happening. Some architects would famously say, I know the last line before I start writing the first line. Like, they'll write the last line first. Now, someone like Stephen King, who is more of a gardener, is mystified by that approach. But I find there's more, personally, for taste, I find there's more life in the gardener approach. There's more magic behind it. There's more tension as to what is going to happen. A lot of times an architect, knowing what they know, they're going to write in a predictable fashion because they already know where it's going. Now, if you have a mirror on the wall, or say you have a poster on the wall, kind of like Shawshank Redemption, if you break through that mirror or you break through that poster and there's a hole, what's on the other side of the hole? That's where the magic comes into play. That's where the imagination can freely speak for itself. And if you're an architect and you've already decided what happens, kind of chokes out the creativity and the pure chaos of what imagination can accomplish. So I find that interesting that I didn't get a bunch of random generic stuff for the gardener versus architect. I specifically, you run across George R. R. Martin. What I find really funny, I don't know if anybody's noticed this. So people that prefer architect say architect is superior. Gardner, see, that guy's writing, George R. R. Martin, he dropped the ball because he's a Gardner writer. See? But then I really, really loved his books, right? You loved his books because he's approaching it as a gardener. Those architect creator will oftentimes not seem to be like it's subjective. They're more black and white, that's the superior way to do it. You have to plan out and map out your story. You have to do proverbial storyboards of whatever shape or size that comes in. It doesn't matter. I feel like gardeners understand that it's a subjective choice. That maybe you could get results that could be preferable with some people if you're an architect. I feel like gardeners understand the subjectivity better than an architect, and it doesn't take long to understand the psychology of both, why they would both either understand or not understand the other one. Okay, this is getting a little old. This music here. Let me see if I can find the... Oh. Didn't turn off. What the hell? Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, when is that new Doom coming out anyway? Doom video game launch date. May 15th. Okay, cool. Dude, I bet you that's gonna be cool. Okay. I'm gonna change course a little bit here. Okay, this is finished with. This is good. Now we're gonna move on. I wanna see here. So the Dead by Daylight. What is that? Abandon mechanics, win, loss, draw. So this has been discussed quite a bit by the DVD community. But honest, I want to actually kind of laugh at this a little bit. Let me see. Oh my God. Check it out. I was talking to somebody about this. No Mither plus plot twist. Can you have a 4-man, no Mither plus plot twist? All 4 immediately slug themselves. DC, get this? You DC, and then you will get a draw. Imagine like slugging yourself, DCing, and getting a draw. Now I don't know if this actually works or not. Now imagine if you had. Now they have no Mither, right? They're gonna pick themselves up, right? So you have 4 bots pick themselves up. If the killer abandons, they lose. You're gonna force them to play against. Is this how it works? You could troll by loading in with 4 people with no Mither and plot twist. You all slug yourselves. Can you abandon after you slug yourself? You abandon, and then the bots pick themselves up, and a killer is forced to play against 4 bots. And if he doesn't, and he abandons because he gets the option because everybody DC'd, he gets a loss. Can that work? That is actually hilarious. I would. Oh my God, dude. Me and Wesker were laughing about that concept. Let me see. No Mither. No Mither. Plot. Twist. Abandon. I could put 4-man, but I don't. Okay. Alright, I'm not seeing any YouTube on this. I would love. Dude, someone needs to see if that works. It's possible they made it where you can't. So, yeah, I put abandon. You best combo. Well, you know what's funny? Even though it's even though it's super not worth it, the idea that you can immediately counter corrupt intervention by doing this is pretty funny to me. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing anything new. So, I don't think they should remove it. No. No. Abandoned feature is fine. So, like, say the killer slugs 4 people, and they just want to play another game. Abandon is cool, but you don't give them a draw. It's not a draw. They lost. Let them abandon, but give them a loss, and then let the killer abandon so he doesn't have to walk. You know what? So people that have slugged to win know what this is like. When you don't want them all to bleed out, you're not actually trying to be toxic. You're actually trying to just have a winning strategy. So then you're picking up the slugs and hooking them. And then you can't find someone because they crawled away. Or they're going to end up bleeding out because of that. If they abandon and you abandon, then you don't have to do all that tedious crap. So no. Don't remove the abandon feature. Please. It's a good feature. But let's be honest about the results of either win, draw, or lose with this feature. You strategically slug 4 survivors. Okay. They all DC. Cool. You use the abandon feature. They get a draw and you get a loss. I mean, how make that sense? Make that make sense. You won as the killer. I was always critical of the abandon feature, but posting how the game sees every option feels like a final nail in the coffin. Game sees every option. How the game sees every option. If all remaining survivors abandon, it is a tie. So let's say you get the 3K when this guy's okay and stuff, but I just the way he's wording, I'm kind of particular about that. Abandoned system. Now this is dark time when survivors never lose. A. You could put an A right here and it'd probably not make you sound like what if they made a killer called the Caveman and he talked like this? Now this dark time, survivor never lose. Nah, LOLXD haha. Yeah. The patch notes are like baffling. It is baffling. You know what is so funny? There was a. Oh, I wonder if I could find this guy. There was a skull merchant. Let me see if I can find this guy. Skull merchant. Win streak. Abandon feature. Someone was doing trying to win using the abandon feature, not knowing they were getting losses. Oh my god, could you imagine, dude? So I don't get tons of time to play this game. So 100 matches for me would be less or more. It'd take me more than 20 days to get that many matches easily. So like we're looking at like a month of my gameplay. I couldn't even imagine playing for a month and then finding out my streak. I was speed running lost streak. That's a lost streak. No wonder they could keep doing it because you got worse and worse survivors. They didn't think something was weird because of their MMR. Like after the 50th loss, you probably could notice a difference in the playing of the players, couldn't you? Did they not notice? I'm actually interested in this. Yeah. So let's go to merchant win streak. You probably want to put win in quotation marks. Abandon feature. Oh my god, dude. He's probably going against Alucardbatz that aren't doing gens anyway. He's like, this guy was probably super sweating himself, like walking back and forth kicking gens. Well, the guy's like, this game is so strange. I've been sitting in a locker for 7 minutes while this creepy looking lady that I'm very confused about whether I should be into her or not is kicking the gen that I'm staring out at from my locker. Please remove. Oh God. Please remove her. Excuse me, dude. Like the audacity of saying stuff like that. Like that's like saying please remove flashlights if you're a killer, man. I mean, come on, dude. Let me see this. ICBA with the skull merchant. It's actually worse. Then the old was saying something that's literally impossible to beat her if she holds a 3 gen. No. In January 2024, it wasn't impossible, my brother. All you got to do is wait out her kick limit at this point in the game's life. If I see a skull merchant dry kicking. Oh, I see. A 1% gen and instantly placing a drone on it. I know it's over. No, it's over for her. If she'll kick any gen, she will kick that gen 8 times. You just gotta outpatient her. She can't win anymore by just roaming around and kicking gens. Unless the idea is you could do it for 10 minutes, but then we found out the abandoned feature equals a loss. It's not that bad, brother. Drone zones overlap now, making you get. This guy's just too infuriated. I'm currently on a 31 streak with. Is this it? Honestly, I don't think she's that bad. Streamers just all jumped onto the same bandwagon of shoveling crap on this chapter for views. Oh, this is 2 years ago. Oh my god, this is like right when she came out. Oh, is this immediately after it came out? Oh, they'll find out really quick. There's a certain strategy that she's definitely. They're not going to be talking about. Not going to be talking about how she's worse than Trapper until people figure out that strategy and then reverse it later. I'm not. I don't think I'm finding that. So I had heard about that. I wonder where he heard it from. Hens heard about somebody doing 100+ quote unquote win streak with Skull Merchant using the 10-minute you didn't get any gen done abandoned feature. But then it turns out that there are losses. They got 100 losses in a row. That should almost be its own feat. It's like Bizarro achievements. Okay. So the abandoned system. Okay. If 10 minutes pass without a gen being completed or regressed, and the killer abandons, the match is considered a loss. This one also makes no sense. So survivors hold the killer hostage. The killer says, "Get me out of here," and it's a loss. But then the survivors is a draw. If all other 3 survivors are bots, the last survivor can abandon a match, and it will be considered a draw. They can do this when the. Okay, check this out. If all other 3 survivors are bots, the last survivor can abandon a match, and it'll be considered a draw. So, if you're being brought to the hook and you're dead on hook, you can abandon and get a draw instead of a loss, even though you were 10 seconds away from getting shipped up to the entity. The killer should not be punished by this. The killer can't regress any gens because survivors aren't working on gens. Yeah. If all survivors are in game but on the dying state, they can abandon the match and be considered a draw instead of a loss. Can't quite understand what went wrong through behavior's mind when drafting the system. It makes no sense. You put someone in a winning position, you have someone use an abandon mechanic, and they don't win. It's that simple. I mean, let's not overcomplicate this. This is actually a very simple way of looking at it. I put myself in a situation in the match where I had won. They abandoned, got a draw. I abandoned, I get a loss. That just, it's the real simple, right? Okay. I'm going to, let's see. Low tier DVD killers. I was talking to Shazam this morning. I was talking about one of the reasons people could use Trapper a lot, and other. This applies also. I'm gonna actually put this on. Domain. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Okay, why low tier? Oh, these are best and easiest to play. Okay. Um. Why low tier killers in DBD can actually be fun. They have a thing that I would call base kit cope. Now, what is base kit cope? Base kit, it comes with the killer. Okay? What's the cope? Here's what the cope is from a low tier killer. Base kit cope is it comes with, well, yeah, I got teabagged at the gate, but I was playing Trapper. Okay? You got base kit cope. They could be fun to play because you can easily defer the loss to the strength of the killer. And if you have a killer with base kit cope, one of the brilliant things about it is if you win, it feels better. So win against a sweaty 4-man Swift with Trapper. Very, very, very possible. You feel like, hell yeah, dude. Those guys were sweaty as hell. The gens were efficient. I was getting flashlight blind saves, or I was able to dodge them by looking up or down. Or looking at a wall, and then when they tried the flashlight save, I was looking through the wall. I did all the things right, and I won, and I was playing Trapper. See, you play a low-tier killer. Here's a benefit. I think maybe even psychologically, a lot of people play these killers this way, and they don't even understand that they're doing it. One of the great things about playing a low-tier killer is the base kit cope. If you lose, you're playing the worst killer in the game. Trapper, as an example. If you win, you were using the best player in the game against a 4-man Swift. Hell yeah. I feel like with Blight. Oh, I've got a good one for you. Artist. Artist who, in people's minds, is strong. Now, I personally, one of my hot takes in the Deep Dead by Daylight is Artist is not, not as strong as people think she is. You're playing Artist, you have this thought in your head that I'm playing a strong killer. What happens when you lose and you're getting teabagged at the gate? You're thinking, well, it was a strong killer. Was it me? Now, you could do other cope, like you could talk about the map, or they're playing unfair, they had unfair perks, insta heals, but it doesn't feel fun to play someone that's supposed to be strong. In your mind, you were told and you think she's strong, and then you end up losing because I think she's not as strong as you think she is. And then it's like, gives you a bad feeling. I'm playing a strong killer and I lost. You're playing someone like Ghostface, who is known to be bad by the community. There are plenty of video essays about how Ghostface is not very good. Then you're marking people, you're downing them, you kill them all, you feel good. You feel good, you feel like I playing a low tier killer, I played it well. It makes me feel good as a player that I beat good survivors. And then if you lose with Ghostface, you play, hey, then you could shift around and go, well, hey, I'm playing Ghostface. He's one of the lowest tier killers in the game. I think low tier killers can be funner for people. And why you'll see their pick rates relatively high is because they have base kit cope. Because the pressure's off to win or lose. Because in the end of the day, you're playing the worst killer in the game, apparently, if you're playing Trapper. So it makes it feel less like if I lose this, it's obviously me. I have to take full responsibility. I don't have the base kit cope of saying that. And I noticed that for myself. I feel a lot more relaxed logging in as Trapper than some of the stronger killers I might play. Because I know in the end of the day, I'm playing Trapper. His wins feel fantastic. His losses feel like a natural. So from going from fantastic to natural, or, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm playing Trap. That's the way the, you know, Trapper traps. That's the way Trapper traps, is what you say to yourself when you lose this. That's why I think, let me test that. Let me see if I find any exceptions. Now, look, not to just have confirmation bias. I don't know if it's opposite of my hypothesis, if Skull Merchant is or not. If she is opposite my hypothesis, she's also had such an exceptional nerf, like an outlier nerf. She's like an outlier to the point where she doesn't actually fit in to most of the norms of the game. Let's see. Okay, let's go to the wiki. Oh, we want to do pick rate, huh? Oh, yeah. We need pick rate for this. It's not just the low tier killers, it's the pick rate. Let's see if low tier killers tend to be higher. Oh, I mean, this one, I'm not using that as an example either because he is, like, brand new. And he is known. He is, like, yeah. Let's see the nurse pick rate. Okay. Pick rate is 2%. What's the blight pick rate? I thought nurse would be a little lower than that. Where's Blighty Boy? Four? That's pretty high. Legion is 4. Legion is low. 3. 2. I thought Ghostface was higher. I'm surprised he's that low. You know, I might have to abandon that hypothesis. I might have to abandon the hypothesis that sometimes low tier killers are actually pick rated higher because there's less expectations of victory, and it feels a little better to play a bad killer and win, and play a bad killer and lose, than to play a good killer and win doesn't feel as good, and playing a bad player and losing doesn't feel as good. I might have to abandon that, though, because the numbers of the pick rate are actually conforming to that. My pig is 1.6. That's kind of sad, man. Oh my god, dude. What? Twins! Twins! That is actually crazy how low that is. See, that was my theory, though, for Artist. One of the reasons she might have a low pick rate. People overestimate how good she is. And then when she doesn't perform as expected by the talking points, people are left disappointed. That's just a theory. Just a fan theory. Okay, so... yeah, it could also just be like a personal thing too. I find playing Trapper a little funner because when I win, it feels really good because you're playing someone that supposedly is one of the worst killers in the game. And when I lose, it's like, then it's like water off a duck's back, you know? I wanted to mention something, man. This, speaking of metal, if you want to hear something metal, dude. So you go to the Joe Rogan podcast with Jeremy Renner. Holy crap, dude. So have you ever heard real life stuff? Here he is. Speaks of recovering from a snowplow accident. I believe it's that eye, the left eye. So he was trying to operate a snowplow, had an accident where it crushed him, completely destroyed his leg where he had like a titanium leg. And when he was under it, his eye popped out. And since he couldn't move, he decided that he was going to move because he could see with his other eye. His eye popped out. He was going to move his eye around to keep it more on ice in case that he could salvage the eye. He didn't have anything else to do but try to get his eye on more ice. That is real. That is like Stephen King level macabre crazy BS. You think it's just in the horror movies? Dude, can you say that is some like amazing Chuck Norris level Giga Chad badassery? That when you're stuck under a snowplow and your eyes popped out, you're trying to move your head around and make sure that the eyeball gets more ice to preserve your eyeball? Dude, that makes Chuck Norris jokes about the boogeyman is hiding under he's under the bed because he's hiding from Chuck Norris look like absolute garbage. That is, and then when he was recounting it, you could tell how he looked to the side. You could tell how he looked to the side, and he was like recounting it, and then he just started busting up laughing. Dude, this dude, man, oh man. So I'll have a thing. I've had several injuries. I work out to try to keep in shape. Sometimes I'll strain myself, and I don't know if anybody else out there works out. When you give yourself a strain, it's harder to work out more. You have to rest, but you want to work out. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to get like physical strain when you're trying to work out and push it. It's your body's telling you no, but you get a good rush. You get good endorphins off of the exercise. It's very frustrating. It can almost be borderline depressing because once you hit the bed and then you feel the ache and you're like, God, I wanted to work out more. This is depressing. Man, I'm telling you, man, Jeremy Renner, dude, it's not to be like, use what happened to you in a vampiric way where I'm gaining from your pain. But man, that makes me feel like I'm almost like foolish for worrying about the foot strain, man. You imagine staring at your eyeball, looking at your own eyeball. Just that. I'm not even going to talk about the ice. You're so jacked up, you're looking at your own eyeball. And it does downward comparison where like, I'm not going to sit here and whine and rock back and forth and give a shower of tears over my physical issues. This guy got through that being stuck underneath a snowplow, staring at his own eye that had popped out of his head. I've never even thought that is a possibility. I'm sure if you thought of it, you could realize it's a possibility. I've never heard of someone staring at his own eye. And then going through recovery and like plowing through it. That to me, that is mentionable. So I mentioned the Joe Rogan podcast with Robert Rodriguez. I wanted to see if it was true, in fact, Robert Rodriguez is the first instance in his movie Desperado to use cool guys don't look back at explosions. Which I found I think he might be the first. RoboCop got close, but not, no cigar. This to me was fascinating. That was the most fascinating part I heard. Like that takes, this may seem like apples and oranges at first, but there is a comparison here. You know that whole thing about the 100 men versus one gorilla? And you know how a lot of times the people that side with the one gorilla, they'll talk about the gorilla's strength and how humans could be fearful, they're soft, they could get their head popped off like a Pez dispenser for milk and cereal. Okay, people forget the resilience and strength of a human being, man. This dude is trapped under a snowplow, and he's got the resolve enough to move his head around, to move his eyeball around the ice to try to preserve his eyeball. Humans are capable of resilience that is almost... Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man. When I heard that, I was like, wow, dude. Dude, you should... Hey, Wesker, you should hear this dude's nonchalant badassery about it. So he'll say stuff like, well, thankfully I didn't get any head injury. Oh, maybe I shouldn't tell people that. In case I make a mistake in life, I could just refer to the head injury. He starts laughing. I mean, this dude is like... You know how it's worn out. People use it too much. But you know the whole built different thing? This dude is built different. And it makes me feel like don't want to cry when you get a sports strain, when you're running and you got a strain in your feet or you're like your neck's cramped or something. Man, don't cry about it, man. This guy played sumo wrestling with a snowplow and he's laughing. Look at him. Look at him laughing there, dude. That is amazing. And I wanted to mention it because I find things that don't seem real to be very interesting, dude. Just imagine what like a Stephen King novel-esque scenario that would be, to be stuck under thousands of pounds of steel crushing your leg, dude, in your head. And you're like, dude, well, if I get out of this, I still want my eyeball. I better move it to the ice. Shit, dude. Like, imagine that happened. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it was like exactly. Yeah, he's probably going, hey, dude, well, at least I'm awake for this. I'm alive. Oh my god, Jeremy Renner is totally Tool lyrics, dude. Dude, check it out. It's Jeremy Renner Keenan. Check it out, dude. Here's Jeremy Renner, man, but I'm breathing, so I guess I'm still alive, even if the signs seem to tell me otherwise. Got my hands bound and my head down and my eyes out. Dude, like Jeremy Renner makes this Tool song look like benign. Like Jeremy Renner has gone through more with that snowplow than the Tool lyrics are trying to hyperbolically talk about pain and suffering. Like, you know what I mean? Even if the signs seem to tell me otherwise, got my hands bound and my head down and my eyes closed. Eyes closed? He's got his eyes out. The snowmobile took his eyes out. His eyes off. Like face off. So, like he's literally exploding his head out, man. And that kind of attitude, like you could use that as an attitude for life. You know? You feel like you're crushed under a snowplow? We all have. We've all felt like we're crushed under a snowplow. Move your eye over to do what you can do. He did what he could do. He moved his eye over to the ice. This is like a personality thing, dude. Yeah, literally out. So to me, I'm sure I knew it was literally possible to do so, but I've never heard of somebody looking at their own eyeball. That is just, you know, and maybe this channel really does need some metal music in the background, because this is metal. Yo, dog, I heard you like metal. So I have Jeremy Renner talking about moving his popped out eyeball onto the ice when he can't move anything else while I'm listening to some public domain metal. So you can get thrashed while you get sped. Fuck yeah. That was almost like word salad and memed. It was the yo dog meme, but then with a pinch of word salad. So I didn't finish the podcast. I imagine that later he talks about like Hurt Locker and stuff. I gotta learn exactly how the copyright stuff works. I would love to hear him talk about Hurt Locker right now. But is that a copyright issue? Wesker, we gotta figure that out. We gotta figure out what the limits are, because I would love to get in here right now and listen to this part, because I absolutely freaking love this movie. In fact, some of the things I saw with Jeremy Renner, I was like, eh. When I saw Jeremy Renner in the Hurt Locker, I was like, oh no, okay, I get it. I get the Jeremy Renner at why he's a star. He did perfectly. He really complimented the realism of that movie. Oh, I want to watch it right now on stream so bad, dude. Oh, do I? Problem is, I don't know if I can relax and give good commentary if I'm wondering about copyright stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, he got absolutely bodied, literally, from that snowplow. Dude. So, downward comparison. So I'll give you an example about downward comparison. Say you're depressed. Say you don't want to move, out of bed, but you make yourself, you go to the psychiatrist. So if you meet fellow depressed people, you find some people have depression so great, they will tell you they physically will not leave the bed because they can't. Like if downward comparison is people with a similar issue than you, look at a more extreme version and you'll realize you don't got it so bad, and it kind of gives you like a second wind to appraise what's going on, and you'll be like, I need to quit whining. This dude's got it worse. So I feel like when it comes to like physical pain and stuff, like I'll get like neck cramps, my feet will get strained, and I'm carrying too much weights while I'm running. I'll carry like, I'll carry like, 20 pounds, 10 pounds with me? Is it well, I think it's 20. I'll carry 20 pounds with me when I'm running sometimes. And then I kind of overdid it. I was kind of almost like training. I wasn't just running casually. I kind of naturally found myself, I wasn't consciously training, but I ended up naturally training. And then I, strained myself where I had to pull back a little bit. And it was very frustrating. God, you hear stuff like this. Or like Kurt Angle? Kurt Angle's injuries, dude? You got a little bit of foot pain, man, or you got like your knee aching once in a while, dude. These guys will let you know, man. You save your tears. What a waste of good suffering. Now, check it out. Kurt Angle injuries. And I know this guy's really known for that meme. You know that meme? So I don't know if people that are familiar with this meme even know the origination of what. Okay, you see this? And I think he said something too, like he wasn't very happy that people were doing this. But the reason that his eyes are like this is he was taking lots of pain medication, prescription medication. And he took enough over a period of time where it's like, look, this is your brain on prescription pills over a period of time. look at that stare. So he wasn't like that originally. Now, the reason that he had that is he has had a legion. I mean, you might actually be surprised if the number of injuries he had might actually reach Legion levels. You know, Legion being the number. What was Legion? Like 1,000 or something? So Kurt Angle has suffered several injuries throughout his career. These include breaking his neck. The dude is pro wrestling after a broken neck, man. Yikes. He said during an interview I watched recently, the guy's like, well, you put yourself through a lot of pain. Are you in pain now? And he goes, as I'm talking to you, I can't feel my hand. It's numb. Like, every day, this dude is giving himself such dramatically extreme giga sports injuries that he can't sit down and talk to a guy without his hand being numb, man. Resulting in herniated discs, cracked vertebrae, and pulled muscles. Oh, man. Having both knees replaced. Both of his arms have atrophied and lost roughly 3 inches in length, and he can't feel his 2 pinkies at all. Dude, see, you could do some positive stuff with streaming. If anybody is feeling like, oh man, I just, what's a common injury? You know, I broke my finger at work, and you got maybe some pain pills and you got like a little cast going on. It sucks. Everybody knows it is the worst. Like, we forget it. If you see a guy in a cast or something, just immediately have sympathy for the person. Injuries are terrible. But just know there are levels. There are different circles of hell, man. And I would use Kurt Angle and Jeremy Renner as good examples of downward comparison. Like, if you broke your finger at work, or twisted an ankle or something like that, even if it could be extreme, man, like maybe you dislocated your arm, or you got a bad back injury or something, dude, people survive through it, and look at the smile. Now, I know there's other variables. The dude's a millionaire. When you're a millionaire, there's it might be a little easier to take a breath and smile. I get there's different variables, but just talking specifically on that one variable, your physical health. Think of people, use downward comparison, and it doesn't just have to be stuff like sports injuries or doing well physically. It could be there's a cornucopia of things in your life where you could use downward comparison to say, not to look down on him and oh, look at this dude with the big saucer eyes and he can't feel his fingers. Not in a pity way. If anything, you could be honor what they're going through and then say, man, isn't it really pitiful for me to feel sorry for myself when this guy's going through atrophy, has a broken neck, he went through terrible prescription pill addiction. They've found downward comparison. Yo, I'm doing good. Oh, okay. Oh, well, thanks a lot for sharing your art. Said you should be fine. Cool, man. That seems to be a common solicitation, the art. Okay. Let's look up downward comparison. Downward comparison refers to comparing ourselves to others who are worse off than us. It's a way to enhance subjective well-being and make us. They found through research too, you will feel better. Feel better about our abilities and traits. However, there's a danger to both downward and upward comparison. Interesting. Downward social comparison refers to comparing ourselves to people who are worse off. Can help us enhance our self-esteem and boost our confidence in various scenarios. Yeah, exactly. Like if you hurt yourself, ask yourself if you've ever had it where your eyeball popped out of your head and you're looking at your own eyeball. I can't get over that, dude. Like, I get it. Like a Stephen King book, I get that. That would be kind of cool. I would. Oh my god, that should be in a movie, dude. Have the POV of looking at your other eyeball, like from the screen perspective. That should be in a movie. You know, a lot of times some of the best fiction comes from real life. Dude, make that happen, Hollywood. However, it can also have negative consequences, such as making us arrogant or hostile. Ooh, I could see that. Only if you blamed them. Right? I ain't blaming Jeremy Renner. I ain't, like, kicking him while he's down. I guess that would be part of it. Like, how you appraise that person. So from what I heard, and this could be old information because this goes years back. I researched it before, and it was usually mentally healthy, balanced psychological a person, the more he tends to be, the more he would do stuff like this as a tool. When students underperform, they may resort to... Okay, we understand what it is. See, I don't think it goes beyond self-esteem. I think I esteem a lot of times the person you're doing downward comparison with. I esteem they're going through something I'm not even imagining as possible. I can't even imagine looking at my own eyeball. That doesn't enhance my self-esteem. It enhances my esteem of what a badass he is. It makes me realize that I'm not in a point in my life right now where I'm staring at my own eyeball. I think I can relax and chill a little bit. You know what I mean? Wesker, what do you think about the music in the background? Is it too loud? Does it add? Does it detract? I'm kind of digging it a little bit. I'll be honest. I've never heard of upward. It's when we compare ourselves to people who are better off, such as students who get better grades, or even our mentors. You know what an idea I came up with that I suffer from sometimes? I think people that have anxiety do this. They had downward anxiety, where you fear or feel anxious for someone doing worse than you. Like, I'll give you an example of what downward anxiety would look like. Say I just got done on the podcast watching Joe Rogan talking to Jeremy Renner being stuck under a snowplow, right? And now you're on the road, you're driving. You feel downward anxiety, like, well, this could be the moment I'm about to be Jeremy Renner, stuck under a snowplow. Is that... I don't know. Do I even look that up? I came up with it. I thought I was going to find it. Social comparison theory. Okay, we got milk and cereal done. I'm going to do a little bit of OCD here, where I see it saving. I see it's saved to drive. I did... You know what? Yeah. Did some Jeremy Renner. I did some DBD. Talking about base kit cope. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, thanks for the input. Actually, let's do a sound check.
It's Tyson from the All American Rejects. Check out our new song Sandbox on YouTube and YouTube Shorts.
Shut up. Shut up. So it was like, it was barely heard by you? Now tell me. I got a question, Wesker. Now, is it too loud that it blots out me speaking? Like, it'd be interesting to know, like, a good volume. Oh. Royalty free, okay. I was like, my brain just went, this is royalty free? Like, wanted to add this in the movie, man. Why did Hollywood spend hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars on a song? So is that too loud? It's actually too loud for me, maybe. I mean, you gotta hear yourself thinking when you're doing a stream. How's that? Alrighty. I think we're at stream's end. Is this a movie title or something? Get out of here, man. Well, on that note, dude, I like you, dude. Alright, I think I'm gonna end the stream. We did Jeremy Renner, Base Kit Cope on DVD, and we did some Milk and Cereal. Alright, have a nice day.